Laura Hoggins, aka Biceps. I've known you, I think, for about 10 years. So I'm so excited to have you with me today.
Thank you.
I feel like I've seen you on this journey from like 2016 to 2026. Like you've almost like evolved into this different person to me from when I first met you to now. Would you say that that's true?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's, you never really want to feel like you're a different person. I'd like to think at the heart and the core of who I am is always, I don't know, Laura Biceps. But the last 10 years, you're absolutely right. And likewise, actually, you know, being in this wonderful industry that we are, there are so many highs and maybe more lows that sort of test you and shape you. And you're like, oh, I feel like I've been like putty and I've been pushed and I've been shoved. And actually where I am now, sort of 10 years later, and again, for yourself also, I feel like we're the best versions of ourselves, but I wouldn't be here without all of those twists and turns, let's say.
Yeah, and you've twisted and turned quite a lot. You did a BBJ comp yesterday or grading?
Well, no, not
what
not
was
a,
that?
Yeah, I'll just humble myself quickly. I'm a very much a beginner at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I absolutely love it. And yeah, we had a grading yesterday where you get your stripes, but I used to do judo as a kid, so maybe, you know, in the theme of returning to yourself or going back to other things, yeah, I love it. It's such great escapism. So yeah, that's going to be my new personality for the next 3 to 4 business months.
I love it. I just want to see you in the outfit, really.
So attractive, yeah.
When would you say things like started to really shift for you over the last, I suppose, 10 years?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Because I think at the start of that 10 years when I met you, that was a big break and an evolved point for me, where I'd done 10 years in a you know, let's call me a corporate baddie, where I was, you know, master of PowerPoint and Excel, and I worked in a corporate environment, and I discovered fitness for myself. And through that love and passion, I thought, do you know what? I need to make this my career. I need to tell more people. And I thought, man, maybe it won't work, but I can always go back to it. And actually 10 years later, I've had an incredible career in a path that I never thought was possible for me. You know, obviously we're sat here as 2 women in fitness. We are the minority, let's say, but it's never been a better time to be a woman in fitness. And I think you and I have both, we've gone through paths, and others we've headbutted through the door and made our own path. And I think that's at the heart of who I am. If I feel passionately about it, I'll always find a way. And I think me sat here today, big old 40 years old, rolling around in my BJJ outfit, I've never felt more comfortable and content. Do I have everything figured out? Absolutely not. Do I feel happy and content in the present? 100%.
It's amazing, isn't it, how we could start out in something, let's say a decade ago, and then you see yourself where you are now. You probably didn't think, oh, I would be here right now. Like,
No
what?
way.
You're an author.
Yeah.
You've got your own podcast. You're in a completely different role to where you were then.
Yeah.
But everything that you've done between now and then has led you to that point. So through the highs, through the lows, it's amazing, really. You can't really plan for any of it, right?
No, absolutely no way. And I literally remember saying to my dad, listen, I'm going to give this a go as like a personal trainer. I don't really know. I've done the qualification. I'm going to quit my job. My commercial director at the time told me a great mistake. And, you know, look who's sort of laughing now in that it started really with a truth, an intrinsic truth that strength training changed my life. And all I wanted to do was try and share that with more people. I know that sounds quite charitable, doesn't it? But I've made a commercial business. You know, we've all got rent to pay at the end of the day. So I've made it work for myself in so many ways. And the satisfaction and fulfillment I get every single day, knowing that I might just have turned someone into making a different life decision for themselves, to then transfer on the rest of their life like it has to mine. And that's the fire that keeps me going.
Yeah, what I've seen, like, with your journey is that you are such a people person, and I've loved watching the way that you coach and the way that you do impact people's lives. So when I actually saw that you'd moved from the gym floor into a different role, it was quite a shock to me. And I'm not sure about other people in your life. Like, I recently left a studio role. I was at Barry's for 6 years. Beginning of the year, for me it was, I wanted to almost future-proof myself, because I knew that it wouldn't be sustainable for me to be getting up at 4 a.m. every morning and then working every weekend, you know, when I'm down the line. Like, I want to have a family one day. I want to be there for them at the weekends. And, you know, as you say, like burnout, I think, is something think it's quite common for coaches.
Absolutely. And I think you can have, actual burnout which is technically a sustained period of a multitude of symptoms. And I think there are times where you go through a little bit, let's call it a little bit of burnout, and you can pull yourself out. And the worry is that it's so sustained and that lifestyle doesn't enable you to ever recover. It's like you're always sprinting. There has to be a jog or a walk somewhere. And I think sometimes as well, if you're successful, as we have we've been lucky enough to be successful, then the opportunities keep coming and we feel invincible and our capacity is amazing. Yeah, I'm going to go and do that. And I'm still this outwardly people person. And then before you know it, every day you're doing 3 West End shows. And I can't give if I'm not filling my own cup first, and that feels like a real big act of, like we said, being selfish.
Laura, you've gone through egg freezing recently. Why have you done that now?
Such a good question. I'm still sort of asking myself, to be honest. It was never something that I've really wanted to do. I've never really considered it until about 2 months ago. Lots of women talk about their ambitions in future life and fertility and starting a family. That has never been me. I've never, for whatever reason, I've never said it's really important for me to do that and have that journey, or people say I really feel strongly about being a mother, it's my calling. No, my calling is bicep curls and hundreds of pairs of trainers. I align more to that. So I'm 40, right? And there does come a time where you do maybe start to have to consider that. And I feel lucky. I've never felt any pressure of a biological clock that maybe society puts on you. And I think times where I have considered that role or starting a family was only when I was in decent long-term relationships. Over the past couple of years, again, like you said, I've been very public about it. I did go through a situation where something that I thought was different had ended, and that causes a great deal of trauma and worry about a path that you thought you were going down that actually you're not. And like we said, I think we get to every stage in our lives for a reason. I feel so great. I feel so grateful to be in this position. However, that does leave me with a bit of time gone and still not that future plan that maybe I thought of. So my friend, a very close girlfriend of mine, had just said, I'm going to freeze my eggs. And I thought, okay, never really thought about that. So I've sort of supported her and watched her go through it. And obviously I've had, being a woman in her 40s, I'm sure we all have had friends that have gone through various fertility challenges, male and female. And she said, I'm going to do it. And I thought, wow, that is unbelievably brave. And I supported her through it, and it was really tough emotionally. And she was in a similar position where she wasn't, as me, she wasn't doing it for an end goal. She was doing it for the protection or the option of a future path. So I found a doctor in Battersea. She's incredible. She's spent many years at the Lister, which, if you'll know, London is one of the top fertility clinics in London. And I had a consultation with her the next day. We had a scan, we did a blood test, we found out my fertility, and we said, right, if you want to go ahead with it, here's the process, and you'd start on your next cycle.
It must have been quite hard emotionally for you. You talked about your friend going through it. You supported her.
Yeah.
How is it for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I watched her and I thought, I'm so unbelievably proud of you. I hope I'm resilient. I'll be all right. And, we train a lot. We exercise a lot. It's part of our lives. It's our sort of identity almost. How it maybe goes so far as saying a coping mechanism sometimes. It's part of our day. And the doctor said to me, when you go through the hormone, the synthetic hormone and the stimulation, there will come a time where you may not feel up to doing anything. And I thought, okay, doc, you don't know me, but thanks, noted. And I was fine for about a week. And then suddenly I was like, oh my God, I'm not fine. Physically, I felt horrendous. You feel, your body's going through something, but it's so psychologically challenging because I'm not doing it because I'm trying to have a child. It's like so weird. And you've got people sort of congratulating you. And I'm like, no, it's not. There's nothing to congratulate. It's just a scan and just my fertility levels. So it felt so weird for me.
Yeah, you've been through a bit of a whirlwind really over Christmas. You've gone through all that emotional turmoil of all the hormones, and like you say, doing it on your own, I think, is also just something so brave, because most women would be doing it with a partner.
Absolutely.
For an outcome.
Yep.
But I kind of touched on future-proofing yourself, with work. But actually what you're doing is future-proofing yourself here and taking back your control. Would you say that's true?
100%. And that is how my friend described it. She said, I feel so empowered. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. God, like, I don't have to do this later in life. But actually what it does, it enables you to maybe think, I've done all I can at this very moment with the information that I have to potentially future-proof. And knowing what I now know about fertility, I thought I knew, I did not know. Having trained many pre-postnatal women, I thought I knew, but I really did not. There is no guarantees. And we talk a lot about the pressure is a lot on the female, on the woman. If you're biologically a woman, actually male fertility is also can be a challenge. So lots of people go through things, and my advice coming out of it and how I think of it is we should just know this. Why, we know all the, I know my resting heart rate for the last 100 years, and I track my heart rate variability, but I didn't really know much about my fertility. Maybe I was burying my head in the sand.
Well, I think when it comes to this, most people are reactive.
Exactly.
Right? It's maybe they're trying for a baby, it doesn't happen. Okay, well, we better get our fertility checked. Or we get to a point in our lives, like both you and I were a similar age, where we've only got a few years left. And if we're not then with the partner that we thought we were going to be with the family that we thought we were going to have, then it's like, well, it's now or never.
Yeah, and that's what society says, and statistically it's true, but there's always outliers, and you never know. You could be 25 and have more trouble than I do at 40.
Very true.
And statistically, one of the first things that my wonderful doctor, Dr. Bora, told me, she said, the statistics are something like high 80s, let's say 85% from memory, of women that do egg freezing don't regret it. Around 20%, 15 to 20% of women actually go on to use them. So statistically, you could say we're buying time and a thought when actually it may not happen. Or actually we weren't that committed to it, or we don't want it. All I do is act as fast as I can on how I feel at the time. As soon as I feel differently or a certain way, I change it. Not happy in my career, I'll just change it.
A lot of people are scared to make a change. A lot of people are also maybe scared to go through something like this.
Absolutely. And I can tell you my DMs are evidence of that. And I felt I was at the start, because it's quite a personal thing. And I sort of look back and think historically I've shared so many personal things. I shared, the burnout that I went through as a result of the breakdown of a long-standing relationship. I did an interview with a stylist. I'm not really in the market of keeping much to myself. So I thought, do you know what? I feel so empowered by this. I'm going to talk about it again in the hope that it will help someone. And my DMs were flooded with, I'd love to talk to you. People I knew, people I didn't know. I'd love to talk to you about this because I've been feeling a certain way, and actually I've been putting it off for many years, or I'm a certain age, and it's great to see that you had a successful. So there's part of me that was concerned about sharing, like I didn't share any details of how successful it was, because what I have learned with this process is there's no guarantees, and the numbers that you see at the start may not, turn into the quality that end up in my, in the freezer.
It's interesting what you said about how many women have reached out to you, and it's almost, firstly, I think it's so inspiring that you have shared openly about such a personal experience, but how many women are just going through this in silence and maybe don't have people around them that have gone through something, or that can give them advice or can help steer them in the right direction, because we're not taught about this.
No. Not at all. Everything, God bless the NHS, but everything's reactive. And as you mentioned, we don't really tend to do much proactively. Like, I make a joke about saying I'll warm up when I'm dead for workouts. It's probably not the best practice, because there'll be a point where I'll need to warm up for half an hour. So if there is a potential for a future outcome, what can I do now to do it? And like when my friend told me about it, she was like, it's like a domino effect. She's like, I can almost tell you the chain of women, because she did it because someone else did it, who heard because her mate did it. It's like the secret club of like, oh, you've done it. Oh, you've got those long injections. Send me a picture of what ones you've got. What medication are you on? So it's like, but it is like, you forever, I'm going to be sticking a tampon up my sleeve because I don't want anyone to see. Most women have a menstrual cycle. Why are we still hiding our tampon?
Oh my God, right?
I'm like cringing out. Even a woman might see it. It's like, what am I doing? So
I personally, actually, I I hold my tampon in the air when I'm going to the toilet now, because why is there so much shame around periods, around a women's cycle, and I think around fertility? Like when we hit age 35, you've got something like 95% of the eggs 95% of the eggs have gone from when we were born. As we're born with eggs,
the most we'll ever have when we're born. It's mad, isn't it?
And then
they deplete from then on. But also, let's not forget the financial implication. This is not cheap. You know, this is not something that is just we can just go and have access to. So there's a barrier, there's a paywall. And I talk about this a lot in so many things with women's health. It feels like there's a paywall. Why are we the bolt-on? You know, there's a gym recently that just did a new women's health membership, and everyone was praising it. And I thought, well, hang on a minute, have you seen the price of it? Why is the normal membership that price, but the women's health one is like thousands of pounds? And I thought, yeah, I understand what you're saying, and that's really great that we're focusing on all these things, but you've just made it really inaccessible financially.
Even on the NHS, once you hit 40, you can't even get IVF, or you can only get one round, and the chance of you even being successful on the first round is so slim.
Correct. Well, we're geriatric at 35.
Yeah, right. Both of us. We're walking around geriatrics, which is so interesting because most women wait until they're 35 to even start considering having a family, because we want to excel in our careers up until then.
I know. So, also, the price of an oat latte in Gales is £5. I'm not affording a child now.
No, you know.
It is.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in London can.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, you make it work, right? You know, no one ever says you be ready for anything. You just do it and you make it work and you learn as you go. It shouldn't be impossible. But yeah, I just think that having that sort of focus and planning, there's the paywall and the financial barrier to having access to any of this information will stop people, and it makes me feel really sad.
Yeah, but you're talking about it, we're talking about it, yep. And I will say I've been inspired by your journey. Like I had a fertility check. I think maybe 4 years ago. Everything was fine, but I haven't had one since. Yeah. And I've had lots of change since then.
Absolutely.
And actually it's made me go, well, things might be different now. So you've inspired me, but for those listening, what would you say to them if they're maybe scared or maybe don't have enough information, don't even know where to start?
Yeah, I think, it's so tough. I think from my experience, I spoke to my GP and I explained to them what I wanted to do and did they have any recommendations, which is where it led me to the Lister. I mean, this all happened very fast. Within 24 hours, I did this. But the Lister, I found a reputable hospital in my area that had done thousands of rounds of egg collection, so they were experienced in this. So I thought, okay, that's a specialist, and then I'll find a private doctor. I found someone who had spent 10 to 15 years working at the Lister and were now private. And again, I'm talking about this from a position of financial privilege that I was able to do it, but I worked within my healthcare system to get advice. And I think, once we start talking about it, as once you start saying it out loud, my dear, girls from school messaged me, hey, I know I haven't spoken to you in 10 years, but I've just done this as well. With the injections, put an ice pack on it, 'cause it's really, wow. Like, thanks, Charlene from school.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like women just really want to help.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. It's like if someone's coming to me and saying, oh, I'm worried about it, I'm like, I get it. It is, I can't lie to you. There's no easy way of doing it. But what I will say is success for me at the very start was giving it a go, and whatever the outcome, I had to feel satisfied, because I can't change anything that's happened. I've done the best that I can with the information that I have today. I've done my research. I've found someone reputable.
Do you feel like this is kind of almost another chapter in your journey of who you are, of like biceps?
100%. And I think the egg freezing meant more to me than it's just egg freezing. I've like bored myself talking about eggs and follicles because it's so intense, and in my head I've drawn a line under it. I've almost forgotten about it. It was only a few weeks ago, but I'm like, right, I've parked it, because over the last few years, through the situation, the environments and the changes in my life, I went through significant trauma. I mean, I've had, unfortunately I've had, people in my family with really ill health. I've had changes in my career, in my environment, in my relationships, and I was in an absolute mess. I was at the bottom of the bottom, and I think the only way is up from those situations. And like a phoenix, a dench phoenix, I've tried my best to rise, and all I could do is just every single day is make a choice for myself. What can I do? How can I try and make this better? And now I'm sat here 2 years later from a moment in time that I never ever thought I would recover from that time. I was like, I'm done. Can't do this. Genuinely, my entire life, I'm grieving a life I thought I was going to have in the most chaotic of situations and circumstances, in a small industry where everyone knows everyone. And I lost myself. My identity was just like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm in this job and I've just started and I'm sort of on my own. I'm like, everything has just fallen apart around me. And when everything falls apart, you just pick up a brick. And I feel like I'm sat in a mansion. Genuinely, yeah. I say that. I'm like, I am exactly where I should be right now.
Yeah, I think it's often when you get to your lowest that it's a catalyst for change, because you're like, well, I can't anything. I need to do just something to get myself out of this place. And it's so beautiful to see just how this transformation, I guess, because I saw you over the last 2 years and everything that's happened, and I can relate as well.
Absolutely.
You know, you hit rock bottom, but I truly believe that everything that happens in our life, I don't really like the saying everything happens for a reason, because some shit just shouldn't fucking happen. And but you have to almost have gratitude for it. You have to, because if you don't, it's a losing game.
Absolutely.
And I have gratitude for everything that I've been through, because it's led me to growth. You meet it head on. You have to just go, well, it's either sink or swim. Yeah. And you've clearly swam.
As have you.
Yeah, well, both of us, we're phoenixes. Here we are. Flying.
We have to.
You have to, and yeah, taking back your power, taking control, and yeah,
it's a new chapter.
It's a new chapter, but I can feel it in your energy. It's having gratitude for the journey, though, and I think for me, it's gratitude for the growth that comes from the shit that you go through, because you never know what is around the corner. It's like this. There's this saying that my yoga teacher taught me, which is good luck, bad luck, who knows? Yeah. It's like you don't know if something really terrible is happening, or, you know, I don't know, even just like missing the bus, you're like, oh, for God's sake. But actually, something beautiful could come from it.
Be a really good bus.
It could be a really good bus. Or, you know, it saved you from something, or it's led you to meeting somebody different.
Sliding doors.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's sliding doors. Do you feel like now there's still parts of yourself that you're discovering in this? You've said you've kind of come back to yourself.
Yeah.
Is there kind of a new lease of life or a new version?
100%. I actually feel like really excited about the big things that you would call big career moments, but I also feel really excited about the little moments of joy of just going to meet up, you know, with a mate for a coffee or going for a run. And I feel like the amount of loss that I've experienced personally, professionally, you name it, over the past 2 years has, I don't like to say hardened me, but I have had to practice so much resilience that, like you said, the tiny little inconveniences, whatever, like my journey here this morning was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. I was my head in someone's armpit for about 20 minutes. I was just like, whatever, just pop some drum and bass on. I was like, it'd be fine. And, you know, I could see people getting really ratty, and that's life, that's society. Yeah. People go through stuff. But I feel like over my time, I've been able to practice and have the ability to be so resilient that little thing happened, my PowerPoint corrupted, and I'm never getting that 5 hours of work back. All right, well, can't do anything about it. Just got to do it again. Because when you experience loss or near, you know, traumatic events, you really get the perspective, and especially that I've experienced in my family over the last year, you never know when your last moment will be. And once you're faced with that, the perspective shifts and you think, I've just got to do exactly what's right for me. And I'm very grateful. I've got an amazing support system, friends and family, and, you know, life happens. But you've got to be in the present. We cannot be worrying, ruminating on what's happened. We need to acknowledge it. We need to work through it, but be in the present and just take life by the horns.
It's like there's been a reawakening. Yeah.
And we talk about this, you and I, there've been periods of our life where we didn't realise we was really suppressed. And it's like, where did I go? I didn't know.
Yeah, it's like we don't realise it because it's happening subconsciously. But when you're either going through something traumatic or somebody in your life is, not good for you, or a situation, you think, oh, I'm strong and I can get through this, or I'm not going to lose myself in that. But I think we do. Yeah. And I think a lot of people out there maybe listening might be going through something right now. What advice would you give to them that maybe in that moment that perhaps both you and I have been through, who can't maybe see that light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, I think you've got to, it comes down to trusting yourself. And I think there's been so many moments over the past few years that if I truly listened to myself, I would have made some different decisions earlier. Really, I would have. And for whatever reason, you know, no judgment to myself or anyone else, but time goes on, and that can only be, if you feel in your gut, it's only going to be lost time. So I would say very much trust your gut. I would also say from a health perspective, or just from a being selfish, like, you have to advocate for yourself. There's no real, yes, we want to be the best that we can to support others, you know, behind the scenes and help where we can. But at the same time, if you're not practicing those levels of selfishness or checking in with yourself introspectively, you're not going to have the capacity to help people as much as you would. And then thirdly, I would say summarizes everything that we've discussed and that I've really fundamentally believe in. Your part, we talk about a path, a journey. It's not linear. It's a cliche to say that, but my journey's like, goodness knows, like Piccadilly Circus. But I love it, because if it wasn't for that little roundabout or that bit of traffic over there or that complete awful situation, it wouldn't have propelled me into this direction, and then I'd make new decisions. So I think having a squiggly life or a squiggly career, or, you know, looking back on maybe relationships or environments that didn't serve you, all we can do in the present is take the lesson and be grateful for how it's shaped us into how we will make future decisions and who we will connect with in future.
Yeah, life's a journey. It's full of ups and downs. But, you know, in the depths of the deepest, darkest moments in our life, I really truly believe that we can go to the highs at the same level and experience the joy and the beauty of life. But you have to have those moments in life. That's just part of life and part of living. And then, you know, joy and happiness will be around the corner.
And I think you very much live this in your life, whether you sort of realise it or not. But my observation is you do something and you go, well, I'll work it out. If it's not perfect, I'll work it out. Yeah. And you always do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It seems like it. But from the outside, who knows from the inside?
I am as well, but I think you're really hard on yourself.
Yeah.
I know I am. And I think maybe that's why we've got the highest standards. So we're constantly, you know, repeating in our head and analysing. And I think it helps us in a way, because we do have high standards, we've got high integrity. But also there's got to be a moment where you go, do you know what, Naomi, you've done all right?
Yeah, I think we're doing all right. We're here, we're surviving, and we're living, we're breathing. Yeah. And we're here chatting to each other.
This is nice.
For fun.
This is lovely. I'm sorry I've dressed as Wednesday Addams,
you know what?
And you've brought all the colour.
It's fine.
It's very me.
One of us has to.
It was always going to be me.
Laura, you've inspired me, even just on your fertility journey and everything else that you've spoken about, the journey of biceps. For those that are listening out there, we're going to put some details just of the clinic that you use, just in the description. Any last bits of wisdom or advice for those that may be going through a fertility journey now or thinking about it?
Yeah, just give yourself grace. There's no guarantees in life, so just do your best, stay tight to your support network, and look after yourself.
Love you.
Love you too. Love you too. Oh, we're going to cry now. We've not cried the entire time. I thought we would, but we're resilient.
We are. We all are. Women are resilient. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you so much.
Until next time.
Congratulations on your podcast.
Thank you.